Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Kyle, and if you've been following along with this build, it is a Barndominium, otherwise known as really just a house. So it's a residence. It is just, however, built in the post frame style, which is our way of building things. So lots of questions from people, why don't you just stick frame it? Well, I think there's a lot of benefits to a post frame home. Yes, we do have a full ready mix foundation wall, which some people would say, if you've gone that far, why not just stick frame it? Once again, I think there's benefits. I think that from an efficiency standpoint, I think from honestly a strength standpoint, we've got tall walls, especially in this great room that we're standing in right now. But we're gonna go over all those things as we continue to build this Barndominium, and I hope you guys follow along, and I'll try to share that information as much as possible. But for today, one of the reasons I think a post frame is nice is that we're gonna be doing all the windows and doors, and because all of our structure is supported by columns which go directly to the foundation, that means in between all those columns, there's no bearing weight. So we don't have to worry about these massive headers to carry the weight of the roof. We can just frame in our windows and go on about our way. So let's go ahead and get into that, and I'll take you guys through the process. So we need 12 at 77 3/4. You know, this is one of the things I really like about the cut hub is this guy right here. You get nice repetitive cuts. So all I do is make my cut, set my stopper, clamp her down, and get all the exact same dimension, 77 3/4. And I'm just gonna give these to Greg. Greg's gonna rip them all down. So anytime that you can somewhat assembly line a process where you're doing multiples, instead of making or cutting up one window, doing all the different dimensions and then making up another window, I've got this list where I need 12 at 77 3/4. I need 6 at 65 3/4. I'm just gonna cut all the exact same sizes all at the same time so I can try to be as efficient as possible and not, well, with the bump stop here on the cut hub, I've only got to measure the first one. And then I can get my other 12 cuts all the exact same. Always good. Double check, my last cut is the exact same as the first cut. Now, we'll go ahead and move on to the next dimension. All right, this is the last one. Double check, 65 3/4. And what Greg's doing behind me is ripping these 2x6s down to 5 3/8, and that's because our columns are also planed and milled at the plant where they're manufactured. And they mill them down so that it brings them all into the same dimension, which is 5 3/8. So we have to rip our 2x6s down to 5 3/8 so that when we put them into the wall cavities, our window thickness is the same thickness of our columns. Okay, I think you guys get the idea. Gonna cut up all of our pieces to the window boxes. We're gonna rip them down, and then we're gonna put them together. So we'll go ahead and keep doing this, and we'll come back when we start putting them together. So now that we have all of our pieces for our window boxes cut up, I'm gonna start putting them together. Greg is over here cutting up our header and sill. And one thing I always do is I check the end grain of the boards to determine which way they're gonna wanna cup. Because when you look at your lumber, if there's a smiley face, it's going to come down. And if there's a frowny face, it will cup up. On the bottom of our window jamb, I don't want it to cup up and cause any place for any sort of moisture to sit in there. We will end up taping all of our jambs, so it probably doesn't matter too much anyway. It's never gonna be so much water that it's gonna flood your house. I mean, we're talking about like a potential for some condensation. We want it to run out and we wanna see it. So I'm just using some GRK screws, and we're gonna screw these all together. I think that's the best way to do a window frame. Makes it a lot stronger. Also, the nice thing about screws is you can pull the screws out and adjust if things don't go together the way you want them to. And these are our window boxes. It's a little bit different than a stick frame. Stick frame, you're gonna frame up your jack, your cripples, your sill, your header. Here we're gonna make our frame. This is the rough opening of the window, and this will get installed in our wall wherever we want. No need to, you know, specifically frame headers or anything, because once again, we don't have weight bearing at the top of this window. So this just has to support the window itself. The entire wall will be sheathed, which means that's gonna provide all that shear strength. And once that's done, it's not going anywhere. So what I was talking about earlier with the cupping, you see how this board has like a smiley face? If you flip it over, it's a frown. Well, those fibers will want to open up over time, in essence, putting a cup. So if you run it this way being your top, eventually this will want to flex open, and that will you know, give you a crown in the middle. So that's what I always try to do on our bottoms. Nice thing about using the GRK screws is that they go in very well at the edges of your board without worrying about that board cracking. So that's kind of a nice thing when you're doing these edge screws. You can have confidence in the fact that your screw's not just gonna crack out. I think you guys get the idea. We just make up all these different boxes depending on the rough opening size of the window. And once we get all these made up, we'll start laying out the locations on the walls and getting these framed in. So we're gonna wrap this up and we'll be right back. You good?
Yeah.
Sure? Okay. We're not gonna go crazy on installing these windows because we're gonna have our client look at all the windows, make sure that they are happy with all the locations. Sometimes when you look at a blueprint, it looks different than when you see it in real life, so at scale. We're gonna go through, we're gonna get all these installed, the boxes, and then after the client gives us the okay, we'll go ahead and get them all like installed for real. What are you marking?
35 3/8. Is that correct?
Sounds right. I mean, you can always double check a center by measuring both ways.
No, that's too much work. See, when I did algebra and they told me to check my work, I didn't.
You say they, you mean your mom?
Yeah, since I was homeschooled.
You know, you could have put it right on yours down there. I like you and all.
I wanted it to be close.
Yeah.
Good.
Dude, Greg, you just had inspiration over my next $1 million idea.
Yeah.
Tradie's first tape measure. No, Tradie's first tape measure.
Tradie?
Yeah, Tradie. Yeah. 8 inches. A Tradie's first tape measure.
8 inches off of this guy here?
And it's gonna say like 1/4 inch, half, like it's gonna say all.
They do have like all.
Yeah, they do. But the point is that it's called the Tradie's first tape measure. Oh, Pella windows. Hello, it's Kyle. All right, so right now we're setting these headers here, and this is where the window, I guess the top of window is the bottom of this header right here. And 1 second, Greg. Down just a hair. Keep going. Right there. And we like to use the plate level because, as you can see, it has these little standoffs on the ends. We can put it out to 8 foot and make sure that this connection point to that connection point are exactly level, versus if we were to use like a 4 foot level in the middle, the board could have a little weird bow and your 2 points might not be as perfect as you want them to be. So once again, plate level is awesome for that because of the standoff. So I'm making a tick mark at center of the window, and Greg just marked the center of this jamb. All right, we gotta flip this around. That's a big window, man.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, barely.
Dang. Right there.
Nice. And so right now we're just temporarily setting these. We're gonna plumb the sides, and then we won't cut any of these girts out or finish until we get the okay. Nothing else on this wall. And now we got 2 windows on the top and the front. So let's go ahead and go do those.
Yeah, right across from here and right across from that.
Yeah, I think they're kind of the same, ain't they?
Yep.
I wonder if YouTube can really taste what I'm tasting through the microphone.
Good.
It's not bad. I would still rather do a cake donut.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's just me, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, grab your level. Oh. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie, my guy.
Awkward.
Yeah, weird height. We're just gonna go ahead and do this, do the old knee lock.
The locking knee?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You got the level?
I will. Why are we not using the lift here? That would be, oh, I can't even see that bubble. It's so bright in my face. Down, hit that.
Yeah.
Down here, dude. Right there.
What the?
You don't have the strength?
It's
okay.
Maxed out, you know?
Oh, it's gonna be so cool, man. I'm so jealous. Okay.
That's mine, 6.5.
Oh.
So, yeah, you want to come back my way, 6.5.
Yeah. Looks like I'm gonna need another box of GRK screws brought to the job site. Definitely not the cheapest way to fasten your lumber, but man, sure beats just about any other method. The way post frame windows work, I think, is one of the big advantages to using post frame, is that we don't need to worry about some massive 2x12 headers because we're not supporting anything but our window itself. So when we come through, we use a 2x4, typically 2x4 header, and a sill, or maybe they're both headers, top and bottom. And we mount our box. Our box is the same depth as the posts themselves. That way it creates a jamb extension for the window box. And then when we frame that and connect that to the wall, where these girts come through, we're gonna connect those to some backer boards here, as you can see. That's gonna connect them in the same line. We're not gonna cut them until they're connected. That way when we do cut them, it kind of holds the box right in place. We put our sheathing. This is gonna get fully sheathed. The shear strength in the sheathing, all the nails, added to just the framing like this, will support those windows no problem. The big thing about windows in a regular stick-built home is you have to have the proper header. Otherwise, over time, you might have the weight of the roof or the second floor above you pushing down on top of that window, and you don't want that. Here, we will never have any more weight than what is right here, which is not even a big deal because we're gonna be spanning that with sheathing, which has a ton of strength. So I hope that makes sense. Windows, doors, openings in general on post frames are really easy because we don't have to consider the same engineering that you do when installing them in a stick frame building with multiple stories or different load bearing applications.